Hello everyone, this is Jenn Espinosa-GOSWAMI, and I thought I'd hop on for a quick live today, this snowy and cold day here in Minnesota. Thank you for joining me here on my page. If you are joining me live, please make sure to like and give me hearts and comment and give me some love here, because anytime you do that, it shows to a greater audience, and my goal is to reach as many people as I can. But first of all, I wanted to share that this morning I had the fortune of presenting to a group about resolution solutions. And a very interesting question came up, and I thought, why not share this with my broader audience? This event I attended this morning was a private event. It was a chapter members only type of event. And I thought, why not share the love with everyone else on my page here at Waitlist, because I appreciate you and I appreciate my tribe. Now, the question that came up, I was sharing resolution solutions. And for those of you who are not familiar with my story, I am someone who was able to lose 100 pounds with no products and no support, basically, about 18 years ago. And I've spent the last 3 or 4 years sharing my story with others to inspire them to act on their own health goals in a way that fits their current lifestyle. And the thing that comes up a lot is people will say things like, what is the one thing? And that's the question that came up this morning. So I presented my thing. I shared a lot about the power of macros. I shared a lot about why you shouldn't be counting things. I shared a lot of really good mindset techniques that you can use to kind of slay your resolutions or come up with better resolutions so that you don't have to keep making the same resolution year after year. But this question came up from one of the participants. She said, what is the one thing? And she acknowledged right away. She said, I understand there's more than one thing that goes into weight loss. There's more than one thing that goes into the year it took you to lose the weight. But if you had to share just one thing that would be your number one takeaway or your number one advice for people today who are looking for support or a way to really motivate themselves, how were you able to lose the 100 pounds? And surprisingly, like usually I have a bunch of that depends, or let me talk about this first, or usually it's a stumper kind of question, right? Like I won't be able to come up with a quick and easy response. But what I found naturally happening was I said the number one thing, because techniques change over the years, especially as you get older. I'm now 20 years away from losing that first 100 pounds. And what works for me today doesn't necessarily work for me yesterday. So the thing that really came up for me when she asked this question to me, and one thing which I would ask all of you who are watching me either live or on the replay to evaluate for yourselves, is when you're through, focusing on a journey, whether it's a health journey, a weight loss journey, a personal development journey, what have you, any sort of journey, the most important thing you can do for yourself as an individual when it comes to continuing your progress is to constantly reevaluate. And that's what I told her this morning. I said, okay, it did take me a year to lose the weight. And what I was doing by the end of 12 months was not necessarily the same as what I was doing in that first month. So the thing that served me the most when it came to continuing my progress was to constantly reevaluate. What comes up for you when I say that reevaluation is the most important thing for continuous development? And I'm a person who's passionate about making things easier and better for folks. And that's a piece, the reevaluation piece seems to be missing from just about everything. In fact, most of us have a really, really, really hard time evaluating anything, much less ourselves, right? We have to be critical of ourselves. We have to recognize our faults. We have to expose them to the light. We have to recognize our habits. We have to recognize our intention or unintention to do things a certain way. We have to look at things a little bit differently, because when you're in a certain mindset and when you're in a certain habit, you don't have to evaluate anything. You don't reflect back on that habit because it's something that you do without even thinking about it. So in order for you to improve yourself in any way, whether it's to get fit, to get healthy, to lose weight, to have a better relationship with a partner, any of these types of things, you have to constantly evaluate your progress. I want to share some real life examples with you because this is something that really charges me up and makes me feel good. My professional experience was in financial services, and you may or may not be surprised, I worked in quality assurance. Most people think of quality assurance as the people who, hold a ruler in their hands and slap your hand when you're not doing things the right way. But what we really specifically worked on in quality assurance is we evaluated what the current processes are. So we looked at the written manuals, we created the manuals, we revised the manuals. The manuals were like our Bible, right? Our standard operating procedures. That's the way things always work. And then we observed in real time what was actually happening. And finally, the most exciting piece for anyone who's ever worked any amount of time in quality assurance is we found ways to do things better, whether that required revising a policy, rewriting a policy to make it more clear for the end user, or going to the end user and providing training opportunities. And the training could have been on the technology side or in the human side, because technology can fail just as much as humans can fail. But that's what charged me up. It's not that I was finding fault with people, because that doesn't charge me up. Not a single bit. It was helping people do their job better, whether that's more efficiently, whether that's more quality, whether that was in a way that was easier for them so they weren't using as much brain power so they could focus on other passion projects. That's what excited me. Let's talk about evaluation, because it's very difficult to evaluate yourself. And I know this because while I spent my whole professional and personal life evaluating, it's very difficult to evaluate yourself, and I can wholeheartedly admit this. I myself struggle with admitting my faults. So if you can feel me, give me some hearts or show me some love here. It's really hard to face yourself and be honest about what you're doing today. And I totally understand, which is why I offer what I call a resolution revolution, to help you identify the things that you're doing today that you're not aware of or that you don't pay much attention to because it's just what you do. I can help shine a light on that, and not in a critical way, not in a glaring way, but in a loving and compassionate way to say, okay, this is how you're doing it today as I hear it from your mouth and from the things you're telling me. Here's how we can make it even better so it's easier, more efficient, and gets you better results. That's what inspires me. But again, let's talk about evaluation. So I have been a member of Toastmasters International for a while, and that is a public speaking organization. It's changed my life. It's one of the reasons I became a motivational speaker. But I bring it up because one of their main components of their programs, both in the leadership and the communication track, and yes, they do more than just communication, is to evaluate other people within the group. And over time, when you constantly are evaluating other people in a compassionate and loving way, you learn how to be compassionate and loving with yourself. So when you do turn that mirror on yourself and you're like, what is it I'm doing? You learn how to be more loving and compassionate with yourself. And Toastmasters, I bring up Toastmasters because they evaluate during every meeting. There are 3 or 4 different roles within the meeting where that's all they do. They evaluate. And there's special techniques you can use. They call something called the sandwich technique, where you start positive, you have the meat and potatoes, and then you end on a positive note. There are all sorts of techniques you can do, and you can certainly utilize this when it comes to self-evaluation as well, and I highly encourage you to. But the purpose is, the more you evaluate, whether it's yourself or others, the better you get at it, right? You can't get better at something if you don't keep trying. And when I connect with clients on a one-on-one call, is often they have a really, really hard time evaluating either what they did before or what they hope to do in the future. And it's really hard to evaluate something you haven't done yet. But until you've taken a look at your history and your past and your current processes and your daily habits and what your typical schedule looks like today, how can you project anything into the future? You first have to understand your baseline. You have to understand where you're starting from. And that's the purpose of connecting on a phone call with me. I'm happy to connect with anyone who's watching this, whether it's live or on the replay. Again, it's called a resolution revolution, because I firmly believe that the reason most of us fail at our resolutions is we don't take the time to evaluate either our past experiences with health plans or our current daily habits. And that's where I can help you get started. Whether or not you work with me, that's beside the point, but I can help you sharpen those evaluation skills so that when you do choose a health program this year, it's the last one you ever do. I hope that's with me, because I have some great programs, and I'm opening up my services so that I can serve more folks of different price points. But the really important thing I want you to take away from this short video today, and the thing that I share with my audiences when I present in front of them, is it's fine for you to start certain techniques and to have certain strategy and all of that. But at the end of the day, you need to consistently evaluate your progress. I would love to help you get there. That's what I do every day. That's what inspires me. It's why I quit my job, my quality assurance job in financial services, so that I can serve more clients and help them attain the health that they've always wanted with a body that they love. So if that appeals to you and you would like me to help you self-evaluate your current daily habits and identify those places where you can do even better in 2017 and prosper, which is my word for 2017. I want you to prosper as well. I want to be that partner with you, and I'd be excited to connect on a phone call with you. I will post a link in the comments here. Click on it, think about it, and make a phone call with me, because I am a fierce but gentle person. I'm a cheerleader. I'm inspired to connect with folks just like you. And I firmly believe that I was called to present my story to folks, not because there's anything special about my story, but because I want to be a catalyst for your own transformation. And this is the way I can do it, through my presentations, through my videos. Anytime you can share my videos, I highly appreciate it. Go ahead and share this video. Schedule a phone call with me for your resolution revolution, and let's get you to kick those resolutions in the rear so that you can achieve your healthiest 2017, your healthiest year. I want to be with you and help you get there. Thank you so much for joining me today. Don't forget to evaluate and self-evaluate. That's the only way you will reach your boldest health goals. This is Jenn Espinosa-GOSWAMI over at Weightless. Thank you for joining me today.